The Battle of Little Bighorn stands as a defining moment of conflict in the American narrative. Central to this event were the Arikara Scouts, courageous warriors from the Arikara Nation who provided essential service to the U.S. Army. Their exceptional skills in tracking and combat were vital for collecting information and confronting opposing forces. This presentation brings you their direct accounts, offering a personal and distinct viewpoint on the circumstances that culminated in Custer's final engagement. Come with us as we explore the hidden histories of the Battle of Little Bighorn and reveal long-concealed truths. Prepare to question what you think you know and learn about the intricate layers of this critical chapter in Native American history. Settle in, get comfortable, and let's begin this captivating exploration. If you find this content engaging, please show your appreciation by liking this video and subscribing to WinLink Deep Dive for more investigative storytelling. General Custer informed them of his intentions for a new expedition and that their assistance would likely be necessary. Young Hawk made the choice to depart from the scout party, but his father urged him to remain. Subsequently, Son of the Star obtained a letter from Custer requesting additional scouts. A meeting was convened at Son of the Star's residence, which was well attended. He stated, "My friends, a letter has arrived from a white man asking for some of you to serve as scouts under Longhair Custer." This was not unexpected, as they were aware of Custer's intentions. Son of the Star had also been to Washington. Those who consented to go were Bobtailed Bull, Stabbed, Charging Bull, Horns in Front, Young Hawk, Bull in the Water, Little Brave, Bloody Knife, Tall Bear, High Bear, One Feather, Running Wolf, Red Star, Strikes 2, Howling Wolf, White Eagle, Crooked Horn, Scabby Wolf, Pretty Face, Curly Head, Black Fox, and One Horn. Some scouts had already signed on again at Fort Lincoln. Red Bear agreed to remain with Crooked Horn until they could journey back to Fort Lincoln together. Fred Gerard escorted them to the commanding officer's office, where he showed Red Bear's permit. Following a brief delay, they were instructed to enlist, obtain uniforms, and receive weapons. After a medical check, Gerard brought them to Custer's office, where they encountered Tom Custer, who had a facial scar. Tom raised his hand, and Gerard signaled for the indigenous men to mimic the action. Custer appeared shortly after and communicated via Gerard that they were the final scouts to enlist. Because the expedition was prepared to move, they were required to remain on duty at Fort Lincoln. Soldier and Bobtailed Bull encountered Custer at his riverside camp, where he stated through Gerard, "Bobtailed Bull possesses a generous and honorable spirit. I am pleased he has joined our group. The journey before us will be difficult, but we will confront it side by side as brothers. I am happy to have him with me, and I spoke of him in Washington. We shall live and fight together as one family for the objective of the Great Father. The Sioux encampments have joined forces, so we must cooperate, assist one another, and adhere to the plan of the Great-Grandfather. The Great Father is satisfied that Son of the Star willingly agreed to supply scouts for our coming mission. He is also thankful for Son of the Star's backing in progressing his plan. I am prepared to fulfill my duty, and so must you, my brothers. If any scouts supplied by Son of the Star fall in combat, their contribution will be remembered by the government. While their families will mourn, they will be comforted by the payment provided by the United States government." Bobtailed Bull responded, "That is comforting, my brother. My family will gain from my earnings and any extra bonuses. I am glad you spoke of this, for it demonstrates there is benefit even in loss." Custer then declared, "There is no requirement for more talk. Bobtailed Bull will command the scouts, with Soldier serving as his second." At first light, the bugle call rang out, and the camp made ready to move. The Army organized its columns, and the scouts, under Gerard's direction, paraded on the fort grounds. Once the parade finished, Custer led the march. Dakota scouts from Fort Lincoln joined the Arikara scouts, including Koru, Matoxa, Mishpiaska, White Cloud, and Buffalo Ancestor. The first camp was established beside the Heart River, and a cattle herd traveled with the march to supply food. The white soldiers were given their pay, but the scouts did not get payment, as they had only just enlisted. Arikara scouts, Stabbed and Goose, were dispatched ahead with a letter to carry to the camp on the far side of the river, where Crow scouts and their interpreter, Mitch Boyer, were located. When Custer's army got to Camp 20, Red Star watched the march from the opposite riverbank. Stabbed and Goose came back with their report, and the army continued its advance with the band performing. At Camp 20, the infantry prohibited wagons, some mules were stationed, and the horses of the scouts and cavalry were examined. Custer and Bloody Knife rode past, and Bloody Knife said, "The general says we are all advancing. There are many adversaries ahead. If we assault them and are overpowered, we must withdraw in separate, small parties. Scouts do not flee or turn back for home. We were instructed that if our command fragmented, we would reassemble at this camp." I felt encouraged hearing the band play in the distance and observed cannons being transported. We arrived at the Tongue River, established a camp, and marched to a hill with a view of the Powder River. We went down to the Tongue River and discovered a deserted Dakota camp. A soldier's body was there, clubbed to death with only bones left. Custer stared at the remains for a while. We found a burial scaffold, decorated with black and red stripes, showing a valiant man's burial. Custer commanded the scaffold be taken apart and told Isaiah, a black man, to take off the clothing and wrappings. A partly healed injury was visible on the body. We discovered small rawhide bags containing horned spoons and moccasins. Isaiah placed the body in the river. We camped there, forded the Tongue River the next day, traveled through the Badlands, and set up a camp at the mouth of the Rosebud. A steamboat assisted in moving cannons across the Yellowstone. The group waited while scouts investigated up the river. 2 days later, they returned with news of substantial Dakota trails on both sides of the Rosebud. A camp opposite theirs held Crow scouts and an interpreter who joined them. They broke camp and advanced up the Rosebud River. Howling Wolf, Running Wolf, and Curly Head were sent back with mail to the base camp. The scouts were given 5 mules for their supplies. Gerard requested they sing their death songs, expecting a battle due to the Dakota Trail. Custer, who had a spirit akin to an Indian, proposed additions to their ceremonies. On horseback, they moved in a circle, singing. Then they followed Custer, marching until they were ordered to stop. Custer directed parties of scouts to move forward on both riverbanks. The next morning, Bloody Knife came out, guiding a horse, having stayed outside overnight. The bugles sounded, and they prepared their horses. Custer took the lead with scouts flanking the army. Bobtailed Bull commanded one side, along with Strikes 2 and others. At nightfall, they reached a deserted Dakota camp showing evidence of a Sundance Circle. The Dakota scouts and Custer's army observed signs of medicine rituals, smooth sand, and pictures. They cautioned that the enemy was aware the army was approaching. In a sweat lodge, Red Bear, Red Star, and Soldier saw sand mounds with figures of Custer's men and Dakotas, with dead men between them, facing the Dakotas. The Arikara scouts believed this indicated Dakota medicine was more powerful, forecasting defeat for Custer's men. Marching along the Rosebud, they saw Dakota inscriptions on sandstone hills, including 2 buffalo fighting. The Arikara had multiple interpretations of this. In another sweat lodge, Young Hawk saw 3 red-painted stones, meaning the Great Spirit had given the Dakotas victory. Soldiers saw offerings, sticks with buffalo calfskin, cloth, and valuable items, signifying an important ceremony. All the Arikara understood this as a signal of Dakota's certainty in winning. Soldier later found out that Sitting Bull had conducted ceremonies at this camp. After passing the buffalo inscription, they reached the fork of the Rosebud River, where the Cheyennes are now. The 6 Crow scouts and their interpreter returned, reporting abandoned Dakota camps along the Rosebud. The army stopped, and the scouts ate on a hill. Custer arrived with his orderly, who carried his flag. The Arikara sat in a half circle, with Stabbed on Red Bear's right. Custer sat, knee on the ground, asking, "What is your opinion of the Crow Scouts' report? They say there are large Sioux encampments. What will be the result?" Officers gathered around the fire, standing near it. Custer said, through Gerard, "I want to lead them into battle and seize many Sioux horses." He stretched out his arms, pleased to be among familiar faces. "Among your faces I recognize from previous journeys. If we are victorious, Bloody Knife, Bobtailed Bull, Soldier, Strikes Two, and Stabbed will proudly lead the courageous young men in parade marches upon our return." Custer said, "When Son of the Star sees you in the parade, he will be proud of his boys." To Gerard he added, "Tell them that if we succeed, my brother Bloody Knife and I will represent them in Washington, and perhaps even take them there." The bugle sounded, and they marched on, led by Bobtailed Bull. They found another abandoned Dakota camp, large and spread out. Signs of rain were apparent, with sod dug up to channel water around the tent circles. From this point, they saw the hill from which Custer took his last look 12 miles away. They moved toward it, intending a short stop for supper before continuing through the night. The temporary camp was on both sides of the Rosebud, and it became very dark after supper. Across the river, Crooked Horn shouted orders to take down the lodge. "Saddle up, Red Star, Red Foolish Bear, Black Fox, and Bull." Forked Horn led the group, and Red Bear learned that Bobtailed Bull had gone ahead at noon. This started the night march, and they rode until daybreak. Worn out, they got off their horses for a short rest and breakfast. Bull in the Water and Red Bear unpacked a mule, and the former proposed, "Let's eat, for if we go to the happy hunting grounds, let's go with full stomachs," and fetched water. They crossed through the soldiers' camp, where men lay snoring, exhausted. The camp moved on, horses trotting, and halted on a hill where Custer joined them. He ordered, "Proceed quickly and seize the Dakota horses." Stabbed rode around, urging the young men, "Be brave, do not think like children. Today's fight will be hard. We have learned of a large Sioux camp ahead. Like a wounded buffalo bull, we fear even a helpless enemy." Stabbed prepared us young and inexperienced warriors for our first genuine battle. Standing apart, he rubbed clay between his hands, praying, "Father, I remember your promises. I speak for my young men." Then he called us forward, one by one, to apply powerful medicine to our bodies. He spat on the clay, then rubbed it on our chests. He had brought this special clay for this purpose. The mule train was left behind, with Pretty Face responsible for it. We hope this journey into the past has been as enlightening for you as it was for us. These first-hand accounts provide a vital perspective often missing from the history books. If this deep dive into history's gray areas captivated you, please support our efforts to bring you more content like this. Hit the like button, subscribe to WinLink Deep Dive, and tap the bell to never miss a story. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep questioning.